Okay, good morning, everybody. We're going to look at what we looked at last week. We're minus Judy and Linda, so they'll be able to watch it on YouTube. And we'll open this time as a smart object. I'm going to do this, and we'll all do this together in a moment, so just bear with me. Let Photoshop wake up. There we go. And now we have our smart object here. And if I click on here, and I go to my panel, there's all the settings I've just done in Lightroom. Okay. Just pull that back a fraction. However, there are certain filters within Photoshop that do not work very well, or do not work at all, with smart objects from Lightroom. Now, this goes back to the problem we have, is this symbol up here. We have this, whoops, come down a bit. We have this symbol here, which is showing a smart object, and it comes up and it actually tells you it's a smart object. There it is. And it's a smart object, which means if I click on this now, we have two possible options. And for a big software company, this is absurd. It's ridiculous. If I am in a Lightroom and I come through as a smart object, if I click on here now, I've just double clicked on it, and it comes up with the Lightroom control panel. So it's the same, exactly the same camera raw. There, the lens blur, we can switch it on and off, and it's back on again, as what's in Lightroom. Now, the problem is I want to use a sky filter. And if I come up here and go to edit, and I've got two screens going, so please give me a chance on that one. Here we go. I've got my sky replacement, and I'm going to put a ridiculous sky on just so you can see what's happening. And off it comes. Now that creates a new set of layers above this one we brought through from Lightroom, which is still a smart object. However, as you can see, the sky and the blur effect and all the foreground colors overlay this image, which is fine because we want it to, and we've got the two masks. There it is, there's one, there's two. The only problem I have is that on this bottom one I have a blur, but on the others I don't. Now, we all talk about layer organization. Anything on top covers the one below it. So if we think about it, this sky here, which is showing, which is this lovely, strange coloured nighttime sort of sky, evening sky, has got a mask on it saying black and white. And what white reveals, does it not? And black conceals. So what it's saying is that at the moment, anything below it is hidden. So the effect of the sky only goes into the sky, which it's selected itself, which is fine. So when it comes down to this bottom layer here, so if I switch all these off, we switch these off, you can see there's the sky, and this mask here is only affecting the areas which are white within the mask. So why don't we consider putting that one above it? Well, if I put it above, then the sky of the blurred one is in control. If I copy the mask, all I get is the mask. Now, this is where it gets a little bit strange, because normally you would see everything below, but there is nothing below because they're all empty pixels. So I have a situation where I can't get that image how we'd like it if we put the lens blur on in Lightroom. Now, there is another way we could do this. You might say, well, I want to keep that image, Gary. I want to work on it another time. But what we've got to do is to think about how these filters work. Now, there is a workaround on this, and I've done this. On the right-hand side of this area, so let's all load this image up. So if you all find Ron's image in Lightroom, I'm going to do it, walk you through it, and I'll just show you a couple of things that you might not be aware of, and you might.
Is this the one that we've already worked on?
Yeah, go to the original, Tony, the one that's marked up. We had _MG_0216. I've got several copies open at the moment. but
Okay.
go for the original.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. And what I want you to do is make sure you've got some blur. You can do some adjustments. So going to your basics, we did auto, if you remember, and then we cropped it, and then we put some lens blur on down here. Excuse me, sorry. Oh dear. So that's what we've got at the moment. So tell me when you're all in Lightroom and you have that all ready to go.
No, not yet. I'm having problems with linking with the screen.
But it sounds like your volume's on. We've got no echo. So you're a class teacher today, looking at that. I think, yeah, everyone else is muted. Okay, good. So if when you've all got that ready, just shout up, Roger. Tell us when you're ready.
No, I'm having problems.
Oh dear. Class teachers having problems. That's not good.
Yeah.
I just want to show you the limitations sometimes in Photoshop, because you might do this on your own image and not understand what the hell is going wrong. So if I show you what can go wrong, if it happens to you, you can say, Gary did that on another image before and it was this, this, and this.
Yeah, because I've got a link to my screen today that everything I do on my laptop is shown on the big screen.
Yep.
When I move to Lightroom, everything disappears.
What disappears, Roger? Lightroom.
It goes no. Whatever I do, the zoom off the big screen disappears.
Oh dear.
We're having a problem with. We're having a problem with.
Is this what happens when you go to Tony's house when you do the video class?
No, that's perfectly fine when I go to Tony's, but that's for some reason whatever's happening today has just buggered everything up.
Okay.
My one and the other one. So I've got Zoom on Tony's small screen, the second monitor, but that won't link to the television today for some reason.
We'll have to have a whip round and get you a new TV, I think.
Well, there's nothing wrong with the TV, it just won't link.
And have a whip round and get me a new computer.
Yeah.
A what? A new printer?
No, a computer. He wants
a computer.
He wants an M3.
Is that a BMW?
Yeah.
Talk to Louise. She's into BMWs. Oh no, she's not now. She's not. No, of course not.
Well, that's just not flying ball today for some reason.
Okay. You'll have to probably watch on your own screens then for now. So don't worry about. Just disconnect that screen so you can work with me. Dum 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 dum.
Crazy. Because we've used it before loads of times, haven't we?
Are you okay now? I keep trying Judy, sorry. Tell me when you're ready, Roger.
Can you move your cursor on your screen?
Yeah.
Right, I know which is which now.
Okay. All right, you ready again?
Yep.
Okay, so what we said was that we have a lens blur we'd like to do, but we've realized we want the sky. Now, the easy way around this would be is going back to what I said weeks ago. You've got to think about your workflow. On one, have all this together in one package. Lightroom and Photoshop have two separate modules, and you bring them together and you work between the two, because one works on pixels and one doesn't. If you're working on one, it creates a new image all the time. So you're never working on the original, but it doesn't work the same as Lightroom. Now, as we've all said, Lightroom Classic may disappear. Who knows? We'll have to see. But I'd be very shocked if they get rid of it, but there are people talking about it in Adobe. So we've got to watch this space. So an ideal scenario would be is that you look at this image and you say, look, I want to do the sky. I know there's certain filters don't work. I'll do it all in Photoshop, because we can use whatever we do in Photoshop and bring it back into Lightroom, and it's still in the catalog. However, all the controls in Lightroom won't work on the way back, but everything from Lightroom forward does, apart from when we apply a lens blur, because when we put that filter on, as you've seen, it all goes wrong. So let's all just take that. I just want to show you the difference so you understand, because I guarantee one of you will have a go at this, which is brilliant. But if you make a mistake, you want to know that you've made a mistake because of the software, not the mistake that you've made. So let me just explain to you. So we're going to find this image, you're going to right click on it, and we're going to edit in as a smart object. And it should go into Photoshop. Now, I don't know whether you're all using beta version or using your 2024. It doesn't really matter. There's some incredible neural filters. I had another play with them this morning, and I crashed it twice. So they're not perfect yet. Okay. So I have now got my Photoshop open. Have you all got Photoshop open?
No, not yet.
Waiting.
Okay, just shout up when they're all ready, Roger, when you've got Photoshop open and you've got this image.
Ah,
Are you okay? Teresa's put her hand up. She wants to go to the toilet.
Load.
Just waiting for Photoshop to open.
Oh, dear.
I don't understand this because I've got.
What don't you understand, Tony? Shout up.
The panel came up, loading plans and pricing, but I've just got rid of it.
Okay.
Where am I then? Oh, crap, I don't know which.
Is anybody stuck, Roger?
Are you all open in Photoshop? Tony? No,
I
Tony's
don't-
not got it done yet.
I just don't know what's happening here. Okay, it's open now.
Okay.
Right, yep, we'll go.
Okay, so if we all look on the layers panel on the right-hand side, we should end up with that little icon in the bottom right corner of the image. Is that correct? On your layers panel. So on the layers panel on this right-hand side, just here, as you go up to it, on the icon for that image we've just opened, there should be a little icon in the bottom right-hand corner. Is that correct, Roger? Is everybody saying yes? Teresa's looking at it to say, oh my gosh, I've even got a different image.
Yep. Okay,
Yep.
then.
Okay. Now that means we've got a smart object. Is that correct?
Yep.
Yeah, we've got a smart object. Now the trouble is that icon's used for smart object, which is different in Photoshop than it is when you initiate it from Lightroom, which is a little bit odd. So if we all double click on that now, on that little icon or that thumbnail, you should end up with a panel looking something like this, which is the camera raw editor, which is also in Lightroom, but it looks slightly different in Lightroom, but they're more or less the same. All the controls are the same. Have you all got that one?
Yeah.
Let me know if they're all okay. Roger, Emmy's got a problem. Is that a yes? All okay, Roger?
Hang on, Margaret's got. Okay, we're okay.
Okay. So now, if you look down the right-hand side, we've got the same controls as we have in Lightroom. There you go. The crop, the healing brush, the masking, all the same icons we have. All these are exactly the same as what we had in Lightroom. And sure enough, if I go to, let's say, the exposure and turn it down a little bit, it'll turn it down. And once we've done in here, we can click OK. So make a small change on anything you like and then click OK. Tell me when they've all done that, Roger. Any change they want to make, just so they've made a change.
On the light, and then change, make a small change.
Any change, just so you can see it's made a change.
Yep.
Now, once we've done that and you've said okay, you should be back into the main picture again. Is that correct?
No.
So click on OK, and it should come back into Lightroom as if it was into Photoshop as if it was where you left off. Yeah, Teresa's saying yeah. Everybody's saying yeah. Good. Heads are nodding. Good. So we made a change, which is not a problem. And if I was to save this now back into Lightroom, would all those controls be available in Lightroom? Yes or no?
Yes.
Anybody saying no?
No.
Well, the answer is no, they're not available. Because whatever I do in Photoshop, I've got access to the Camera Raw from Lightroom, but when I go back, and let's do it. Let's do Command and S or Control and S if it's a PC, and then go back to Lightroom. And sure enough, if I look at that image now, it's just come in, which is this one that's come in. I'm up at 106. And if you look, all the changes are back to 0. So I can transfer anything from the Camera Raw in Lightroom to Photoshop and carry on. But if I do anything in Photoshop and come back into Lightroom, it doesn't. Is that correct? Has that happened to everybody? Although the changes have come back into Lightroom, I can't continue using the Camera Raw editor as I was in Photoshop. So I can go one way, but I can't come back. So let's say that we've made some changes. Has everybody got back into Lightroom?
Yes.
Yeah, but back into Lightroom. So we've got that image back in. It's come up. So what we're going to do now, right click on it again. And this time we're doing Edit in Photoshop. And you'll have a little dialog box coming up saying Edit Photo with Adobe Photoshop. And I'm using Beta at the moment. And I have an option to do Edit a copy with Lightroom, Edit a copy, or Edit original. Is that correct? Have you all got that? Yep. So we've right-clicked.
Photoshop.
So Edit in Photoshop, and then you should get this dialog box come up. So what it's, remember, so once we open from Lightroom the first time into Photoshop, it always creates a new file. We've opened it up and it's created a TIFF file. We've been in there, we've been in the raw editor, we've made some changes and come back into Photoshop. Are you all happy with that? Or do you want me to explain that again?
No.
Everybody okay with that, Roger?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Teresa's not looking very happy. Teresa's going, no. If you want to speak, Teresa, just press your space bar and then you can talk to me. Tell me what your problem is.
Okay.
Is she all right now?
Yeah, but which one would you want to edit in? The copy with Lightroom or the
Wait a minute. Have you all got that dialogue? Tell me you've all got this dialogue box. How's Brian doing? Because I can't see Brian on the pictures. Let me just get the full class up. So I can... Brian, okay?
Hang on, Ronna's
I can see Brian now. I've got everybody on the screen. Okay.
as long as they're not covering the buttons up to what you're telling anyone.
Hopefully not, no. So I've got Brian on. Ron's with Brian at the moment.
Yeah, hang on a second. 2 minutes. Brian don't think he saved it.
Okay. Would you like me to run through it once again while you're waiting to see Brian? Are you okay with the process?
I think we're okay.
So we had a picture in Lightroom. Yeah. We made some changes in Lightroom. And then we went into Photoshop as a smart object. So everything we did in Lightroom, all the changes in the right-hand panel, goes across with the file into Photoshop via a TIFF or a PSD, whichever you saved as. We went into Photoshop. We clicked on the smart object icon. We made another change, and then we saved it, and we've come back to Lightroom. Now, we've noticed in Lightroom that all the panels on the right-hand side are reset to 0, even though we know we've made some changes in Lightroom and we've made some changes in Photoshop. It's come back with no changes, but we can see them physically, but it doesn't show in the panel on the right-hand side. However, they are all there because we created this smart object, and the smart object is very clever because it remembers everything we've done, and you can continue where you left off. But what we've got to make sure is that when we go back the second time on this image into Photoshop, we edit the original. Now, original means the file that you've worked on. In our case, it created a TIFF file. So we want to work on that TIFF file. Okay? You all got that? Are you happy with that? We're going to do one more backwards and forwards, and I think you'll see it even better in a minute. So let's click on Edit Original and then click on the Edit button.
Hang on a second. Are you still okay over there? I got that.
If Brian wants me to, I can work with Brian live if he wishes.
It's asking to do an update, which obviously it's a different.
Yeah, just tell it to go away for now. It's just an update to Photoshop, is it?
Well, no, it's an update to. It's obviously an older picture.
Do you want me to drive the picture with you, Brian? Me and Brian work together. I can see Ron doing something. Talk to me, Roger. Does he want me to share the screen so I can work with him?
You want to share the screen? Hang on.
Why have you all got your woolly pulleys on? Margaret looks like she's going to Arctic. Louise looks like she just come from the Arctic. And Teresa looks frozen.
It's 2 degrees.
Is that it? One more, you'll have a group.
We had a freezing cold night, and I get that joke.
Oh dear, come on, boys. Let me help you if you want me to.
Shining.
Well, yesterday I went to the dentist because I broke a tooth. And he said, oh, I think we'll have to get it out. Oh, it took him 25 minutes to get this tooth out. And I've got jaw ache, something cruel this morning. I had a crown fitted and it wasn't fitted correctly. And so it's been decaying under the crown and you couldn't see it until it broke off. And I ended up with a nasty abscess in the tooth. So we couldn't save it. We said if it had been done properly, you wouldn't have had the problem. Never mind. As you get older, you lose your teeth, don't you? Apart from Louise, who's got a right set of noshes there. Come on, Roger, talk to me. Do you want me to help him? What we stuck on? Louise is falling asleep waiting. You got to remember, you got 2 screens, Louise.
Wants to share the screen, but he can't get back into Zoom for some reason.
Okay, let me talk you through them. 1 second, then I will stop my share and log on to him. Right, what you'll have to do, Ron, is talk to me by pressing the space bar, and I'll talk you through. We'll get the Zoom back up and I'll share the screen. So to get Zoom back, you can go to the dock at the bottom. You should see the Zoom US symbol. It's a blue square with the word Zoom written in it. If you click on there.
Yeah, but that's asking him to join a meeting again.
Ooh, okay. So you've somehow come out of Zoom. You're in there, but you're not showing. Okay, let me see if I can't. Do me a favor. Do Shift Command and S and see what happens. Margaret's saying speed up. Good idea, Margaret. You tell them.
I've lost the picture.
There we go. We've got it. We're in. Okay. So all Brian's got to do now I'll carry on working with Brian so it helps him. It's click on the OK button on the bottom right corner, Brian. Keep going down. That's it. Now you can do Command and S, or you can go File and Save. And I'll stay with you. There we go. So what we can do now, Brian, we can go up to File at the top and then Save, or you can do Command and S, whichever which way you want to do. So if you do Command and S or Save. Okay. And if you want to close that off now in Photoshop, what you can do now is, yeah, you can do that. Well done. Brilliant. Now, the only thing, you've left the other one open. So go back to Photoshop and close that up. Just get the Photoshop. I'll do it with you. Look. And then we're going to just close that one off. There you go. Now you can go back to Lightroom. And we're all ready to go again. That's it. Well done. Brilliant. Okay, so notice on Brian's screen, on the right-hand side panel, all the sliders are back to 0. But we know that Brian's made some change, and we do know that when we went across, we created a TIFF file and we made some changes. But when it comes back, it's all reset back to 0. So what Brian's going to do now is going to right-click anywhere on the picture. Anywhere he likes on there, yeah, right-click. And we're going to do Edit In. Yep. And then Photoshop. Yeah, you were right there, Brian. Go again. Down, down, down. Edit In. And then Photoshop. Okay. And this time we're going to edit the original. Now look at the top of the screen on Lightroom. It said 20210.722 MG0216 edit to TIFF. So we know it's been in twice anyway. So we know the file, it's created a TIFF file. So we know we're not working on the original within Lightroom, we're working on a copy. So we're going to edit the original, that's it. And then click on Edit. And that should now take us back into Photoshop. Back into Photoshop. There we are, we're back in again.
Edit original.
There we go. So Brian's back into the original. Is everybody else okay, Roger?
Yeah, that's fine.
It says override setting.
Yeah, good for that.
Everybody okay, Roger? You all right? Good.
No, yeah. You're still in Lightroom. You want to go into?
Yeah, back into Photoshop. And we're going to click on that icon again in the layers panel on the right-hand side. Double click on that panel again.
Still in Lightroom. You need to. That should be the one.
So Brian, if you can click on that icon in your layers panel, that little icon, that's it. Double click on there. That's it. Now this time I want you to turn the exposure to -4, just so you can see we have done it this time. So crank -4 on the exposure. Really turn it right down so it's almost black. Yeah, all the way back to 0. Keep going back, Brian, to the left. All the way, minus, not plus. Get right down. That's plus. That's it. Go down to minus. There you go. And then say OK. Anyway.
Minus what?
Yeah, anything. Just minus, just so it makes it dark. So you can see a major change. Okay, so we made a major change.
I'm not sure that I've got the right one.
Yeah.
So then we're going to go back into there now. We're going to save it. How do we save it, Louise? I want to save and close it. 2 keystrokes. 2 keystrokes. How do we save? Command and S. Yeah, Command and S. Margaret, well done. So we do Command and S. And how do we close it? Command and W. Yep, Command and W. So do Command and S.
Margaret says her Command and S doesn't work.
It might be that Margaret's computer is very fast. It's only a small image, but do Command and S. If not, do File Save.
I'm flashed as quick as anything.
Yeah, it should be pretty quick. And then do Command and W, Brian, and it should close that image off. Or you can do a little cross on the top left corner. There you go. Now return back to Lightroom and see if it's there now. You'll see a big change. Oh, Brian's getting good at this now. There you go, look. But notice all the controls on the right-hand side have all gone back to 0. But we know we've made another change. Now, notice one other thing. I don't understand why they've changed this, but when we used to change the settings, and I'm going to take control of Brian's computer a minute, hopefully if it'll let me. When we go on to our preferences, we've said that when you do external editing down here, we are going into Photoshop. Brian's using Photoshop, not Beta, as a TIFF, which is okay. But also when we come to our other settings, which is our catalog settings, I'm hoping that Brian has got in here automatically write changes into XMP. But if I look down on Brian's film strip in Lightroom at the moment, there is an arrow. Can you see the arrow on the thumbnail? And if I click on that one, it says, it's been changed. You want to save them? Well, Brian's already told it to save. So when they did the changes last time in Lightroom, they've left the back door open. They've not done this properly because by rights, Brian's computer said, if I go out of Lightroom into Photoshop and I come back, whatever, keep updating the metadata because it's set. Brian's already got it set. There it is. Brian's done very well. And there it is. Automatically write changes XMP. But it's asking us, and it did it to me this time, not in the last version, but in this new version, it's asking me every time to save. So if you see that, it's a bug, I believe, in the software. Because Brian has definitely got it set. There it is, automatically write changes, and yet it's asking him if he wants to make the changes. Well, he's told to do it automatically.
Gary,
Yes?
when that happens, if you just click on your next picture, it goes away.
Does it? This it may well be a complete and utter bug. Let's have a look then. Yeah, you're right, Margaret. Oh, no, it's come back again. Look, if you go back on it, it comes back.
Mine doesn't.
Oh, it didn't. No, it did the first time. It's gone off this time. So there's definitely a bug in the software. One for them to sort out, but just bear that in mind. If you do get it and it won't go away, you can do Command and S in Lightroom and it will save the metadata to that picture straight away. So we're all back in Lightroom again and we all got a dark image. Is that correct, Roger, or anybody that's running the class?
Yep. Yep.
Okay, so let's edit again and go back into Photoshop. So right click on the image, everybody, and do edit in Photoshop and edit original. So what you can do, Brian, anywhere, just right click on that image. Or you can do it in the film strip, whichever you easiest. Or if you don't like doing shortcuts, you can go up to the top of your screen under Photo, Edit in Photoshop, and then Original that way. That's it. Editing, Photoshop, yeah. And then Original again.
I'm on that. Just update. I updated.
And Edit. So Brian's back in Photoshop. Is everybody else back in Photoshop with a dark image? Is that correct?
Yep. Yes, you're in, Phil.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so if we go back to your layers panel on the right hand side and double click on that icon again, and then let's double click on the word exposure and let's set it to 0. So remember, to reset anything, just double click on the word, double click, and it should go back to 0.
No.
No?
No. Mine has got the scrubby slider.
Oh yes it has. I'm just looking to see. If you click on the actual triangle, the actual slider, it will do it. Double click on the slider. It did it on exposure, the name actually that time.
Yeah, but, well, my one, when I put it on the name,
Yeah,
if I go down to contrast, that just bring
Yeah.
up the scrubby slider.
that's correct. Because as you hover over the one, it'll tell you can scrubby slide it. Yeah, but you can double click on the icon and on the little slider. Okay, so Brian's gone back to normal. Let's click OK to that. Okay, and we should go back. Whoops, we can go back into Photoshop. So Brian's got his picture back. Has everybody got the same picture back?
Yep. Yep.
Okay, all I want you all to do now is go onto the layers panel, right click on that layer, and then you're going to duplicate it. Yeah, so right click. You best to class it, click there, and down there, look, you've got a new one. Convert, just below convert to smart object, new smart object via copy. Can you see that? That's the one. Now you click on that one. Double click on it. Yeah, just click on it, Brian, when you're ready. Now this might help Margaret and probably Teresa, but certainly when you're doing creative photography, this is quite helpful. You can do it
Hang on,
in
Gary, you want new smart object via copy?
That's correct.
You right click on here.
That's it.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not working again. I'll put some,
Yeah, if you press the
it's open.
no, the other one, that one. And you want new smart object via copy. So you've got two smart objects now.
You okay with that?
Yeah, so you've got two smart objects.
Right, now what I want you to do is double click the name on the top layer you've just created that says copy, and just put that on the name, Brian, on the actual words, the letters. Double click on that and rename it.
What do you want to name it?
Just click it. We'll just call it smart via copy. Just say that because we're going to create another one in a second, and I'm going to show you the difference, and then we're going to do some work with them. Margaret, have you got any projects or photographs that you were looking at for your competitions? Let us know. And then if you want to do some creative, I can pull some of these new features in, because there are some very good new features within the beta version that you can play with. Okay, so we've got a copy.
I'm going to disappear for a second, Gary, and just put kettle on.
Okay, then don't be long because this is important, this bit. Now then, so Brian has got two copies. He's got the original on the bottom layer, and then he's got a smart via copy. I want you to click on the bottom layer now, Brian, please. That one, yeah, anywhere on there. Yeah. Now what I want you to do now is Command and J to copy that layer. So do Command and J, and you'll copy that layer. Okay. Okay. Now this time I want you to rename that via copy. Or you can just call it a copy, just so it's not the smart one.
That one, because I missed it.
Yeah, so the second layer. So go back to the bottom layer, Brian, Roger. And then this time you're going to do Command and J to copy that layer.
Yeah, I've done that.
Okay, now then, I'm going to just take control of Brian's computer here. You'll notice that when we did that, it should, I'm just going to come back. Can we cancel that off? Just want to do one thing. Well, that's very interesting, because Brian's got, you're using 2024, Brian, aren't you? Yes, you are. You're not using the beta version.
You told us about two classes ago to switch to 24.
Yeah, that's fine. No, that's fine. I'm just looking at the differences in the software. If you copy a layer like this one, normally, if you want to have two separate versions running at any one time, you have to do a smart via copy. And what that does, it copies all the attributes. I'll tell you, we'll do it and then it makes sense. So go to the one that says smart via copy on that layer. And then click on it, double click on the little icon to open it up in Camera Raw. And I'm going to probably shoot myself in the foot. Not on the word, Brian, actually on the actual icon for me. So the little icon on the image. Go to your left a bit more. That's it, double click. And that'll open up Camera Raw. There it is. And what I want you to do, just out of interest, just go to the word black and white. So you've got, where it says edit, underneath the histogram, it says auto black and white and HDR. Click on black and white, just so we can see a change. There you go.
Looks
And
quite
then
good.
what we're going to do is, just to make sure you can see it, I'm going to just pull the blacks down a bit. I'm going to pull the highlights down just a bit, just so Brian can see a definite change. I just want something so it's contrasting. There you go, just so you can see a black and white image. And when you've done, just click OK. Now what you've got is the same image with all those controls set, but if you do it to one of them, it doesn't affect the other. Now, normally when you do a copy of a layer with a smart object on, it will not let you do that. For example, I'm going to just take control of Brian's computer a moment.
Margaret says that's changed all hers.
It's changed all of hers.
Yeah, and mine.
Right, that's very, very... And what, you're using 2024, are you?
Yeah, but the only thing is, when you click on each of the layers, they're black and white. But when they show on the icons, there's two of them are still in colour.
Right, I'm going to just... Let me just have a look on Brian's then. 1 second. Okay. Very interesting. There's some serious bugs in this software. There really is.
On the layer panel, the top one we've just changed to black and white, has gone black,
Right.
and the other two are still in colour.
Yep.
Teresa's are still in colour, but all Margaret's has gone black and white.
Goodness me. I tell you honestly, this software is so ropey now, it's unbelievable. It's very hard to teach people and show you how to do things when the software doesn't behave itself. I'm going to just take over Brian's computer a minute. Oop. Yep. There is definitely a bug in the software. Oh, bloody hell. How can I teach you something that don't work properly? Okay.
But on mine, even though the two icons are still coloured, all the pictures when they come up are black and white.
That is just unbelievable. Normally, what would happen, for example, on here, if I've got this middle layer open, I've got of Brian's, it should not be black and white.
Yeah, but I've got to say that's black and white as well.
Yeah, it shouldn't be. I think I'm going to have a look at this for you for next week because, look, it's colour now.
Yeah.
And yet, it's black and white.
Yeah.
Oh, dear. There is something very odd going on here. What should happen is, when you do a copy of layer, so I'm going to get rid of Brian's layer just so we don't confuse. I'm going to show everybody. If I've got a layer open here, and what I'm going to do, I'm probably going to shoot myself in the foot here. I really am. I'm going to just flatten that as if it's a normal image. This is going to be annoying. It won't let me rasterize it, which is ridiculous. By rights, I should be able to rasterize that. Oh, it's done it this time. Now I've got a layer here that's totally with no controls on it at all. Now, by rights, if I make this into a smart object, just there, and I copy it again, if I change one, the idea being if I change one, it shouldn't change them all. So if I do any work onto here, whatever I do on this one, it shouldn't affect the other. And for some bizarre reason, it is doing it right in the layers, but it's not in the thumbnails. Okay, let me look into that for next week, why there is a change in there, because that is not how smart objects work. The reason being is, I was going to say this would be good for Margaret, because she likes to be creative. Probably all do. But Margaret in particular, she's doing photography for competitions. Come on. I'm just going to get rid of these so I can explain. Oh, come on. Trouble with internet, if you're too quick and it don't keep up. There we go. Get rid of that one. Technically, what should happen was, if I copy this with this method, which is called new smart object by a copy, whatever I do to that copy will not affect the original. If I create two smart copies, two smart objects, and I change one of the other one, they both change. So by using this new smart object by a copy, it shouldn't affect the copy. It's its own individual smart object. If I convert it to a smart object, it's a totally different kettle of fish. So I will do that for next week, and I'll do a handout on it, okay? So that you can follow, because that is frustrating.
Ron's Lightroom is frozen. His Lightroom is frozen.
Well, she did say it was cold there.
Photoshop was frozen. So he's forced quitted it and he's waiting for it to restart.
Okay. What time is it? What time is it now?
It's nearly 15:15, so it's tea time.
Have a cup of tea, and then I'll get ready to, and we'll carry on. We'll do the editing of it, and I'll do this next week with a handout.
All right.
Find out why this smart object isn't working. And it should, because it's a standard feature of Photoshop. So my apologies, but that is bizarre that the thumbnails are in color still, but all the images are black and white. That cannot be the case.
All the images are black and white.
I think I know why. So while you're having a cup of tea, I'm going to play on my computer, and I'll be back to you in a second. Okay?
All right.
Now tell me when you're ready to start again. So are you ready to go again, Roger? Found the issue. There's only trees are ready to start. And prisoner 074392. Roger. Hello, Roger. Over. Or Margaret, if Margaret's near a computer. Teresa, since you're the only one at the computer, was it Margaret's computer that all of them went black and white? Yes, love you. I'll have another drink if you're making one, please. I'd love another drink. Yeah, they're just coming back to the seats now to start. If there's a biscuit spare, I'll have a biscuit. There's a biscuit spare, I'll have one. Okay, Roger, you ready to go? Put your mic on. That's it.
Yeah, just getting a couple. Oh, Margaret's just going to ladies.
That's
Well, I
okay.
guess that's what.
No, just out of interest, was it Margaret that Roger? Is it Margaret's computer that's shown all black and white in the right-hand panel, in the lace panel? Is that correct?
Yes. Mine showed one black and white and two colours, same as Teresa. But
Correct. That's good. That's
Margaret
good.
is all black and white.
I've just found out why.
all the pictures are, when you click on each of the thingies, they're all black and white anyway.
Well, they aren't actually, but I'm going to just do this with you all
Well,
anyway.
I can share my screen and show you if you want.
Okay, but I didn't want to lose Brian's, but let's do it then. Let's. I can always get back to Brian's. Share yours, and then I'll get Brian's back on. Oh, one of those will do. Oh,
Can you see it?
yeah. So that is correct, Roger.
Not even the colour one should be black and white. It shouldn't affect them all.
Why is it showing? Because the top one is black and white. Switch it off, eyeball it.
Is that because that's the top one and that's the
Correct.
active
Correct. Yeah. But I'm intrigued why
one? Right.
that's doing correct. But on the through me is that Margaret was all black and white. All of them.
Yeah.
Now I've
She's
just
got
checked.
Zoom on. I
I've
think
just
she's
checked.
got Zoom on at
Yeah.
the moment.
Okay. Well, I've just checked on the Adobe site, and it says about the copy as is still the same, but it works differently on a smart object from Lightroom. So that's why it's showing an anomaly. I want to know why Margaret's is different. Yours is all correct. And I'll come back to these next week and I'll do a handout for it. But I'm intrigued. I want to know why Margaret's is different. Okay, interesting. Oh, God. Now, this is what's happening according to the layers. I'm just going to look at your history. I'm going to share your screen and I'm going to leave this till next week. I want to do a handout for it so that if it happens to you, you know how to get out of it. Okay. And I think the reason is, Margaret, is because you've got multiple copies. You've not got the master open. So I'm going to come to here. And I'm going to come as open as a small. That's the original. And then we did a copy of a new smart object. And we can even do it by doing Command and J. I'm going to call that Command and J. And then I'll do a handout for this. I'm going to just call this, what's it called? New smart via copy. And I'll explain this. Okay. So on Margaret's screen, we've got 3 images. That's the original that came in from Lightroom, because I've gone right back to the beginning. That's via the copy. That is this method where we click on here and we do new smart object by copy. So that copies all the attributes across, but it doesn't affect the original. And then I've done a Command and J. Now, normally if you do a Command and J, anything I change on that layer should affect the other layer that it's linked to, but it's not. And I've just found out why. I've been on their site to have a look, because we're using smart objects from Lightroom, which are different to smart objects from in Photoshop, which is really annoying. So for Margaret's sake, just so she can see, if I click on there now and turn that to black and white, when I go back in, it shouldn't affect the one below it. And if I switch these off, there's the colour ones. Okay. Now, by rights, if I was to change this one, and it'll wake up. Sorry. Come on, internet, catch up.
Yeah, but why did all Margaret's turn black and white on the last lot she did?
Because Margaret did a copy and then deleted that layer by mistake. And I know that because it's in here. So when we did it originally, I've started it again, unfortunately, but when we did it, as I look back, that image here, this is the main one, this one here, had disappeared. And we're working on 3 copies. Oh, it's hard working over the internet. Okay, this I need to do because I want to just make sure with Adobe about the difference between the two smart objects. According to the smart objects by rights, if I change one, it will change the other because they're still linked to the master file. If I do a right click and then do it this way, it doesn't do that. It separates them but keeps the original information. And it's so helpful, but unfortunately, it's causing us a problem today. So I'll find out. I'm going to come back to this one. So my apologies, software. We're having one or two problems with software.
Gary,
Yes.
Margaret's trying to talk to you, but her space bar's not working.
Oh.
You said it did it because I deleted the wrong layer.
Yeah.
I didn't delete it till afterwards because I deleted it, all of them, and started again.
Ah, right. Okay, then. But that's what happened was that original layer had gone and the link had gone. But okay. All right. I'm going to go back. I think we'll abandon that till next week and I'll do a handout for it just to explain how that works. So you've got a copy. So if it happens again, we know how to get out of it. The frustrating thing is, and it is, I keep saying this, it is so frustrating because I can't do Shift Command and 8 on Margaret's screen, which is a shame. Is that icon? It's the same thing, but they mean two different things. I think from a software company as big as Adobe, that is appalling. How can you have an icon that does two separate things? Sorry about that, guys. Really am. Can't help it. Right, okay. I'm going to have to go back to change my tack on this class today. So I'm going to don't save, come out of there. Let's all go back into Lightroom. If you close Photoshop off, so there's no, make sure you close all the documents off so there's nothing open. And let's go back to Ron's photograph, to the original. And we'll talk about this workflow using this new method because it will be something I think you'll all enjoy and use. So you'll have to tell me, Roger, because your mic's working, Margaret's isn't, that you're all back in Lightroom. Do you want me to work with you, Brian? Is it better I work with Brian? I'll work with Brian. So let's share Brian's screen. I'm going to stop my share. The reason being is then I can help Brian through because he's missed a few classes. So you share your screen, Brian, and I'll help you through.
Library and find one of the other pictures. Here's one of the other.
There we go. I'm on Brian's screen.
Harry, do you want the original picture, or do you want the one where we change the scrolls and stuff?
No, let's go back to the very original. So I'm taking it on Brian's computer.
Right. So you want the original picture?
Yeah.
No, just the normal, without the blur, just the normal picture.
Correct. Which is, I'm going to find it on Brian's. There it is. Brian's is that one there. It's marked up just as DNG file. So if you look on the screen, it's just _20216.dng, and that's the one we'll work on.
Yeah, that's the original.
Okay.
Okay, we haven't got the original open. Yep.
Okay.
Go on then.
I'm just closing my things off, so I'm all nice and clear. So I'm on Brian's screen. So we're talking about working on your photos. I suggest for next week, at least, please send me a couple of images you'd like to work on. This is Ron's. Ron's kind of sent this one in. I want to try and use the new techniques that are coming through on your images rather than use examples of other people's images, because that way, as I say, they only supply images that work first time. I want to work on your images that might have a problem. So this is why I want to do this. Okay, so have you all got that open? Let's think about Ron's picture. So what you need to do is on the bottom right corner in Lightroom, on the right-hand panel, do a reset once you've got that image open. So we're all starting with the same image at the same point. Okay, so reset that, Brian, when you're ready. Click the reset. There we go. So we're all back to square one. Is that correct?
Yep.
We've all got the same ones. Okay. What we're going to do now, we're going to walk through Ron's picture as if Ron was doing this, or you could be doing it on your own image. I'm suggesting to say I do want some images from you so we can work with the new techniques on your images. So we have got our boat. So we talked about this image and we said that when we looked at this, we decided that the sky wasn't very good. The mud's okay. It wants a bit of texture in. The boat, we might want to change the colour. And there's a few things. But generally, it's a picture. It's got a story and we want to work on it. What we've got to decide is in what order do we work on this image? Well, the first thing we said, we got the crop tool. So let's all grab the crop tool and take some of the sky out. So keep going to the left, Brian. Keep going left, 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 left. There you go. Right one. Next one to the right. That's it. Click on there. And then click and grab the handle in the middle of the screen at the top. Very top one. First thing you've got to do, don't forget when you're using the crop tool, Brian, and anybody, you've got the padlock on. So it will constrain the crop. Can you see, look? So push it back to the top again. Go back up. And we're going to take the padlock off, yeah, and then just bring it down. Yeah.
I think we took the vehicle tire things out in the sand as well. We lifted it up a bit.
So let's stop at that. Yeah. And now at the bottom, look, we're going to get rid of the tire tracks. Now, Ron might say, well, actually, I'll tell you what, Ron's going to drive this. Ron, would you like to take the tire tracks out or should we clone them out? Ron's picture.
If you take them out, then the boot will go on the third, won't it?
Go on then. So slide that up a bit more, Brian. So we get rid of the tire tracks. A little bit more. That's it. Bang. We've got it. That's good. Okay, we've got that. Perfect. So we can accept that. We can double click on the image now to accept it, or we can just say close. Okay. Double click. There we go. And it's done. I'm just going to just check Brian. Brian, do me a favour. Hit T for toolbar a moment.
We brought that down.
The letter T. That's it. Now T again. There we go. I just want to make sure it's foreign. Everything's, yeah. Okay, I'm happy on that. Okay, so we've got our image there. Now, a normal thing we can possibly do is just do an auto. Yeah. So if you click on auto, it'll give you a starting point to think to see where the range, because if you look in the histogram, there's from the black point to where the letter R is on the histogram, it's all very flat. So there's very little in the way of shadow tones. And then if you go to the highlights, it stops before it gets to the white. So we could make it bigger. How can we stretch that out? We can use what method? We can use a contrast. So if I take control of Brian's computer a minute now, if I grab the contrast and drive it left and right, you'll see that it stretches the histogram, either compresses it or it stretches it. Yeah. And if you stretch it, it pushes everything, it takes everything to the edges. And if I come back, it softens it off. Yeah. So that's one way we could do, but Brian's it auto, which is fine. We could increase the blacks a little bit more until we get the clipping symbol, which is this one here. Brian's got a little triangle showing. And when you look at that image, you can say, well, actually, I'm okay with that. So we get into a point, Ron, where your image is coming together, but we say the sky's a little bit off, isn't it? And I'm going to go back to Brian's crop tool, and I'm just going to take a little bit more out of the sky so that horizon's almost on the third. So I would go for something like that, because the image is all about the boat and the mud and not much of the sky. So I brought it down to that level there. Okay. So there we go. So we also said that we noticed that on the image we have a pincushion effect and we've got that horrible stump sticking up to the right hand side. So we went down to the corrections. So if you go further down, Brian, on your panel on the right hand side, we're going to do chromatic aberration. So if you scroll down, Brian, on this right hand side using this slidey thing here, look, there you go. We're going to go to lens correction. Yeah, and we know that Ron took a shot with this with a wide angle because it's 18mm. So if we click on remove chromatic aberration, and enable profile corrections. There you go. And that thing's disappeared now off the right-hand side. Now we've got a flat image, which is fine. Okay, so we're now happy we can go. Now, the question is next. I know we'd use this image for the lens blur. I personally wouldn't, because it's a nice image. So what else can we do? Now, we mentioned about the sky. And we said if we take it into Photoshop and change the sky, it doesn't always affect all the image. Okay, so let's do what we can before we go and change the sky. So what else can we do in here then? Well, we've got our masking facilities. We've got the sky, we've got the green grass, we've got the mud, and we've got the boat. Okay. Now, Ron might say, well, actually, I'm happy with that. But it's okay. But if you look at the histogram, we've got a peak at the top here and a peak in the middle, and then all the rest is flat. So the image is very flat and doesn't have any contrast. So I think we should create some 3D in here to give the visual effect of the land. Now, if you notice, on the left-hand side, the grass or the reeds are slightly different colour to the green on the right-hand side. Now, we can change those and we can affect just those particular areas. Now, I want to change the grass on the left independently of the right. So if I want to do that, how can I do it, anybody? What's a quick, these masks are so quick and easy, but you've got to understand how they work. What could we do first? You have to shout to what she's saying, Roger.
Mask and select object.
Good, well done, Margaret. So let's go to the mask, Brian. That's the round symbol underneath the histogram. That's it, click on there. And we're going to go select object, Brian, which is the first letter. So you've got your sky, your subject. So come down one. There you go, object. Okay. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to do it first, Brian, then I'm going to do it, let you do it. So we're going to end up with a brush. You see the brush, and I'm going to just paint it over the area I want to work in. And I'm going to come to about there. So we've highlighted that. So I'm going to do that, Brian, so you can do it. So let's do it again, Brian. So it's your go now. You just paint over that green area. That's it. It don't matter if you go on the sky a bit. Don't worry about it, because it will find the edges. That's it, and do that front bit. Okay. Now, if you want to see where you've covered the button on the mask in the center, Brian, if I bring this down off the here for you so you can see what we're working on, you can see if you click on show overlay, it shows you what you selected. Now you missed a little bit. So let's paint a little bit more on that foreground. In fact, actually, Brian, I think I like that, actually, what you've selected. I'm pretty happy with that. Okay, now we want to do something else to it, don't we? We want to work on the object and we want to intersect it with a colour. So let's turn off the show overlay, Brian, that little checkbox. And now what we're going to do is where it says object 1, we want to intersect that object. So we're just going to use green. Okay, so go to the object. So there's 3 little dots to the right. That's it. If you click on there, and we're going to intersect. Now, what intersect is more or less means is I want to add this. Wherever the two intersect and touch, I want to change only that only. So we're going to change color range in that area. So go to color range. Yep. Now, what we've got is we've got a little tool appear now. You think so. I want you to click on the green on the area that you want to change on the left-hand side. So you've created an overlay mask. That's it. So click on the green, anywhere on the green. Yeah, click. Now that you'll notice it's done all of it. Yeah, but we are intersecting only with that. I'm just going to just try one thing, Brian, because it did this to me the other day, and I don't want it to work on there. I'm going to show overlay. It's okay. It's all right. Margaret was right. She said the other day that when we did this and we added the color range, and Brian clicked on here, it showed the green on all the other areas. It has, but it's when we click on show overlay, it's only on the area that we want to intersect. So you was right, Margaret, picking up on that. But we are saying, yeah, we want the color range, and the color range is all across the picture, but I only want to change the green in the area I've created an object. Okay? So now then, Brian, we've selected that, and I'm pretty happy with that. So we'll switch the overlay off, Brian. So turn the overlay off again. Otherwise, you won't see what we've done. Now, what we're going to come down to is we can change anything you like on there. So we can make it a little bit darker. So we can drop the exposure down a fraction in the right-hand panel. So we can turn that down a little bit, just a little bit. We can also, as you go, you can lighten it or darken it. I go darker, Brian. I go minus rather than, that's it. So it's made a bit darker. Now we're starting to get a difference between the left-hand side of the picture and the right-hand side. Okay, about one stop's enough, Brian. So -1. You're -2 now, opposite way. Keep going back to the right. -1, about 1 stop difference. That's it, just so add something to it. Now, what we can do is we can change the colour of that green, can't we? We can move the hue. Now, remember, when we remove the hue, I'm going to just slide this down a bit, Brian, so everybody can see what you're doing. When we do the hue, if I was to grab that slider now, where it says source hue, drag to shift colour in your image, if I move that left and right, it's very, very fast. Okay, and I want to just change the colour to warm them up a little bit. But I don't want to do it too fast. So just below there, there is a little checkbox that says use fine adjustment. Can you see that? Now, when you move that, you'll notice that it will move it a lot slower. So we're going to move it to the, I would move it to the left a little bit. It goes very slow now, look. So you've tried to move it, but it's only gone a little bit. So move it to the left a bit more. Keep going. Can you see? That'll do. About there's enough. Now, if you was to turn that off, Brian, just turn the use fine adjustment off. And now do it. Now slide that hue slider. Watch how fast it moves now. Whoa, a lot faster, isn't it? So you can make a, you know, if you're not sure, you can make a big change without noticing it. Now you might say, well, I'm good at moving my mouse, I'm fine. But I think that's okay there. So yeah, use fine adjustment, leave that on. And it's a lot slower. Now turn the saturation up a fraction, Brian. So just below where you are. Now keep coming down where you were. Saturation just up a little bit, up a bit, up a bit. No, there, look, that's it. Move that over to the right just a bit, about plus 10, 15. Not too much. Keep going up. That's it, about there. That's enough. And then we're on the temperature. We're going to turn that temperature up. So go up a little bit more to the right. So where you were, keep going up a couple of sliders. Keep going up, up, up. Oh, another one more. And just turn that to the right slightly to add a little bit more yellow into it. Okay, we've got something there. And scroll further up again in the basic. That's it. Just make sure there's nothing changed on there. Now scroll further down again, Brian. I'm going to go down. Keep going past point color. Now don't forget, if you don't want all these sliders in, you can switch them on and switch them off with those little triangles. Now, Brian's got down to the bottom. And what we're going to do, Brian, is find where it said effects and find the texture and add about 20 on the texture just to pull some contrast. Now, what texture is going to do, it's going to add a little bit of contrast between the shadows and the highlights within that green area we've selected. So turn that to the right a bit more. So go to about plus 20. Keep going, that's 5. All the way to the right, plus 20. Now what that's done, it's highlighted the texture within the reeds. Okay. So that's a very, straight away you made a big difference to that image, but you've been in control of it. Now before, when you change the green, you changed everything. Or we had to go into Photoshop and change it in Photoshop. We can do all this in Lightroom now. Okay, let's create a new mask. So top of the page again, create new mask. To the left, Brian, keep going up. There you go. That's it. Create a new mask. And again, we want to do an object because it helps us find it. It's a lot easier. And we're going to paint on the right-hand side of all the grass on the right-hand side of the screen. Okay, so we're going to paint on that bit now. Yeah. That's it. That's good. Okay. Brilliant. Okay. Same principle again. Now this time we're going to intersect with the color again. So go up to object 1. And if you want, you can remember, you can name these. So if you think, well, object 1 and mask 2 don't mean anything to you because you might want to come back to this, you can always rename them. So you can double click on the word and say grass to the right, reeds to the left. So you can change them so you know exactly what you're working on. So if you wish to change them, if you don't want to change the objects, Brian, you can, where it says mask 2 above it, keep going up there, double click on there. Oh, double click, that's it. And now name that grass to the right if you wish. So you know exactly, when you look at it another time, you know what you're doing. So you can name that instead of mask 2. So go into that blue area in the middle where it says rename and just type away now. Just type a new name. Call it reeds or grass to the right.
Matt Tom.
Yeah, so just type away grass. It's already selected. Grass to the right, so you know what it is. And bear in mind, you can add all sorts of names to this. You can say, well, grass to the right, and then another can be change the green or whatever. So, okay, so go back to mask 1 and double grass to the right and double click on it to open it up again. Go up one, because it's that's it. And open it up. That's it. Double click on it. There you go. Now click on the word object. Yeah, so you can see it. And then we're going to 3 dots again and intersect it with a color. Intersect mask with. And one, Brian. One more. Keep going up. That's it. Then now go to the right and we're going to do color. And down there again. And to color. And once again, we can add some texture straight away because we did that last time. So let's add 20 texture just to pull some detail in. So you were right where you were. Texture, yeah. Make it plus 20. And then scroll up a little bit more to the other panel. So keep going up. And you can say you can close those off, Brian, if you ever want to. Keep going up. So if you don't want to use point color, you can just hit the triangle. So this time we're going to turn the temperature up again. Just a little bit. So yeah, let's just move it to the right a bit more this time, more green than yellow. Keep going. Now don't forget you're on spine adjustment, so it'll go really slow. You'd think, or you're dragging it and it's not happening, but look at the numbers going up. Yeah, it is going up. That's it. About 2.5, 2.6. That's perfect there. And then we're going to turn the temp up above it. Just turn that up a bit. So let's go 10 on there. That's it. And then the tint, we're going to move it minus 10. So we're going to go more into the minus 10 on there. So now you can see it looks like the sun's shining on that bank, but on the left-hand bank, it is a little bit darker because it's more in shadow. And I think that looks okay. Yeah, so you created that mask. So that's grass to the right. Let's now look at the mud. So what can we do on the mud? We want some texture in there, don't we? So let's go to the basic and we can talk about what we can do with it. So go to the basic panel. So with the basic panel, Brian, is the 3 dots in the middle, look. So underneath the histogram, it's the left-hand icon. So underneath the histogram, and it's the left-hand icon of those 5. So keep going up to the left. By the way, just out of interest, everybody, just before Brian comes off of there, don't forget on the color range, you've got this slider called refine. Can you see? I'm going to just take control, Brian, a minute. And I can turn this range up and down. And below it, there is a slider called custom. And you can increase it or decrease it. So you might say, Ron might say, well, actually, I want it a bit more. So this is a fine way of adjusting everything you've done. So you could say, actually, I like it just there. Is that okay for you, Ron? So we've turned the amount on the grass to the right, the overall effect, up to about 183. In fact, turn it right to the top so everybody can find it easy. Do it 200. So what we've done is we've cranked that right up. Yeah. Now then, we're talking about the mud. We're going to come to the sky later. Let's look at the mud now. So the mud is quite flat. So if we look at the histogram on the right-hand side, you'll see that it's more or less this bit in the middle. The sky is this blob to the right, and the middle bit is the mud. And it's not very good. The contrast is not there because It's all the same colour and it's got the same amount of light on. There's not a lot there, but there are some shadows. I can see little pit marks. So what we can do is we can say, well, how can we emphasize those? So we could do a luminosity range. So we could select all the mud and then say everything in the mud, make the darker bits darker. Does that sound good to you? And we could also increase the contrast just on the mud. So looking at Ron's face, Ron, how can we select just the mud using masks?
Do the obvious.
So let's create a new mask. Everybody create a new mask. So to the left, Brian. That's it. Keep going. That's it. Click on there. Click. And this time we're going to select color range. Straight away, we're going to select the color. So keep coming down. Yep. Now we're only going to affect the mud. Now then, the only trouble is, I think when we change that, we're going to change some of the grass because
Gary?
there's some colours. Yeah.
Margaret says, can you use the colour mixer?
The colour mixer, you could, but we want to isolate just the mud. So I'm choosing the colour, but we also want to select just the mud. So we can paint a brush on there, or I don't think Object will find it. I think you'll have to paint it. But again, it depends on the image. So if Brian goes to where it says new mask, call that mud, Brian. So we know what we're working on. So double click on the word new mask. We'll call this mud. Yeah, double click on it. Is it not changing?
No, mine's not changing either. I think that's because we've not selected anything for the colour range.
Okay, then let's go where we've got the colour range then. Ain't got anything on colour range yet.
That's because we've not selected
Of course,
anything.
yeah. So, okay, you're right. Sorry, I'm just realising I'm one ahead. I'm doing it on my screen as well. So, okay, so on your colour range, we need to come down here and select some parts on the mud, Brian. So, select some areas in the mud. So we can say one under the reeds. So click it just there, and it will put us a marker on. Now, how do you add? Now, you see, that's actually not done too bad. That's not done too bad at all. Yeah, I'm happy at that. And what we'll do this time is we'll paint any areas off. So we'll subtract it. Okay, so I'm happy. That's got all the mud in one go. So what we want to do is subtract. Yeah, using a brush. So go down to brush, Brian. Because there's just a little bit on the grass. Now, you need to click on show overlay so we can see where it thinks it is. So click on the show overlay. That's it. A little bit higher up, just above where you are now. It says show overlay. Down a bit, left a bit. That's it. Click that box. Now you might.
Hang on, Gary. Where do you find the subtract thing?
That's underneath where it says new brush. Brian had got new brush, color range. You put new brush, and then when we had clicked on color range, we hit the three. Well, we didn't need 3 dots. Just hit the button that says subtract. Can you see it?
Hang on, Gary.
Okay.
Hang on, Gary. Tony says he's got bloody lost.
Okay. So, Brian, I'm just going to move the mask box away from there because it's in your way. I'm going to move it, Brian, over here, look, so you can see it. So I'm going to move it over here when it'll come. I'm going to park it over there, Brian, so it's out of your way. Where's it gone? Come on, sir. There you go. I've parked it out of the way, Brian, because we want to do this area on the right-hand side where you did the grass. And you're going to paint over that, and you're going to paint over the boat because you don't want to change the boat colour. Some reflection of the mud in there. So you're going to get your brush, which you've got. You've already got the brush out. Subtract with the brush, and then I'm going to let you do that. So, Brian, what you need to do is paint over the grass on the horizon on the right and paint over the boat with the auto mask on, which you've got on the panel on the right-hand side. Just paint away just gently over that bit over there. I'll just start you off to show you what I mean. I'm going to paint just across there. Can you see the mask disappearing off the grass? So we just say, I don't want it on the grass. I don't want it on the boat at the top. So all them can be painted off. There you go. And then you can finish off, Brian, now, just doing the grass. Keep that little centre part away from the mud. Just keep it on there. So I'll let you paint there while I look at Tony. Okay, Tony, share your screen if you're lost. Tony's bloody lost.
Yeah. He said,
That's perfect. No, that's good. So what I'm going to do now, Tony, is I'm going to request your control. So we've got a new mask.
Yeah.
There's the colour range. So just select some mud colour, yeah? Click anywhere on the mud. Right, now just look, that's it, show overlay. Now you can see it. So that's where it's going to select. So now you want to click on the word subtract, because we can pick that grass up pretty easily. We could actually, because on yours, you chose a darker colour. So let's go back one, Brian, Tony. So I'm just going to take control a minute, which is good because, just come on, catch up, there we go. Command Z, I'm going to go back one, undo, and I'm going to undo that one. So I'm going to do your mask again. I'm create a new mask, and we're going to have the color range, and I'm going to select this bit over here where Brian did, because what happened was it selected quite a lot of the grass as well. So now we're going to subtract. So click on the word subtract and use your brush. Now, I don't know what your brush controls are like at the moment. Your flow is really low, so turn your flow right up on the right-hand panel. So now I'm going to move the mask panel for you at the top. So I'm going to just drag that and move it out of the way because there's nothing over there, but there's some on the grass. So what you're going to do is you're going to paint over the grass area, anywhere the rubylith's showing that you don't want it to be. Yeah. We could intersect it and say, well, I don't want any of the green. But I was trying to give you a chance to use different tools. But yeah, could have said intersect with, don't intersect with the green. Okay, but I'm going to take that off. So just get rid of that. Lovely. And there's a little bit on the boat mast. You see the mast, that's it. Get rid of that on the boat. So paint the boat. You could actually on there, you could subtract on the boat. Okay, let it go now, Tony. See what it thinks. Just let it do a catch up. Yeah. So on the color range, hey, you've got it there, look, because it's paint a bit more. You could have said that at that point intersect with an object, and you could have painted that object over the boat, couldn't you? So it selected the boat for you. But you did it with the brush, which is absolutely fine. Okay, so you've got all that selected. So what we're going to do with it? Well, we'll turn the mask off. So turn show overlay off. Otherwise, you couldn't see it. Yeah, okay, you've got to show overlay off. That's it, get rid of it. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we want to emphasize the detail in the mud. And I don't understand that. It's come off now. So now then, Tony, what you're going to do now is we want to look at things like contrast. We want to look about, we can even use the curves if you wish, but I think we should work on shadows and darkness and that sort of thing. So now we've selected there, why don't we pull down the blacks a little bit to get the blacks a little bit more. So I'm trying to stretch that histogram so that we can see the detail in the mud. Don't go too much because, that's it, come back a bit. That's the bottom part, that's okay. Now do the shadows a little bit, pull those back. That's good. Pull it back. Just a little bit. That's it, that's enough. Now let's have a look at scrolling down a little bit more. And we're looking for the texture and the clarity. Now let's try clarity this time because, and these are all trials, so try the clarity. Keep coming down, Tony. There you go, there's clarity in the middle. Try that, crank that up a little bit and see what it does to the mud.
Hazel as well.
Yeah. Be careful how much you go with it. Now you get a lot more detail in the mud, aren't you? Yeah. Okay. I would suggest don't do too much of that and just add a little bit of texture, Tony, just a little bit. That's about enough. Let's put the histogram. So I think the mud wants a little bit more colour, would you say? So let's go up to the colour, the hue, and let's just warm it up a fraction. So scroll up a bit. And these are all down to your taste. This is all practicing. So you can turn the temperature up of the mud, Tony. That's about enough. Yeah, that's plenty, isn't it? That looks more sandy mud rather than slippery, horrible, slimy mud. Okay, I think you're okay at that. Yeah, I think you're okay at that. So what I'm showing you is that you can isolate these different areas. Now, this time we said, what colour boat did you want, Ron? Didn't hear. What colour is he asking for?
He said he's happy with blue.
Well, I think for the two exercises. Now, notice one thing. Underneath the boat where Tony's work, can you see he's got like a yellow tinge to it? Can you see it? So we've somewhere we've got an error come under the boat. It's got like fire underneath it. So we'll have to find out where that's come from. I'm suggesting now we create a new mask, just an exercise, just to get used in the mask again, because we've only got 4 minutes. Let's create a new mask, and this time we're going to select, we can select object. Come down, there you go. And paint over the boat, the blue area of the boat, Tony.
Just the blue area.
Yeah, we can do all the boat, but you're trying to just do the range of the boat, just the blue top part. So paint over that. I've got it, Tony. I'm going to have a go for you. You done it, Tony? So
No,
paint over the blue.
I think we're.
I think it's just done it because you've left a pin there, but for some reason it's not. Show an overload showing, isn't it? Yeah. That's it. Paint over the blue part of the boat now. It's saying it's detecting object. Yeah, it's got it now. I think it's found it, Tony. I think it's your computer playing catch up. Yeah, see, you can see it's just done part of it, Tony. Look, can you see? I've clicked on it. That's mask 2. That's the mask you want to work on. So I've clicked on the object again. I'll turn that overlay off. Your computer's doing some very odd things at the moment, Tony. It needs to paint the rest of that boat. And I don't understand why your computer's not finding the boat, because it's found it short.
If he's painted half of it, Gary, how can you add to it?
Well, you should be able to just carry on adding to it, to be honest. So we can either click on add, but you shouldn't need to, because if you click on the little icon, which is that triangle, it should, and I've clicked on it and it did work. It's showing you how you paint. You can carry on painting. Okay, let's just add a bit more then. Object. It's Tony's computer, I think, that's now it's working correctly now. Okay, let it see if it'll find it this time. Tony, working. And let's see where it thinks it's got this time. Show overlay. Come on, show overlay.
Yes, catching up.
Oh dear, isn't it just? Come on, computer. There you go. So it's found it. Yeah, I mean, we've gone a bit over the top, but we can always subtract, can't we? Don't forget, when you're doing these paintings, you can subtract or add by holding down the Alt key. Yeah, so Tony could if you hold the Alt key down, it goes to intersect, or you can just say subtract with a brush and get rid of the bits that you don't want. So now I'm going to subtract that bit off. Across the bottom. It's just Tony's computer not playing catch up. So I've tried to paint that off. And I don't know whether it's done it enough because it's taken a while to catch up. So there you go. Hopefully that should have done it this time, Tony. Has it done it? Has it played catch up? Yeah, it has now. Okay, it's caught up. So now what we can do now is, on that mask, I'm going to turn off the, and I can't see where your mask's gone. There it is. I'll turn the, oh goodness. You've got auto mask hide, that's what it is. So now, hopefully, you can go to your, oh my goodness, what is your computer doing? Oh, it's come back. Wow. Okay, so I've got my mask open. There's something very odd with your oh, it's come back on again. I think that's the mask. Yeah, there's the mask. So now what we can do is we've got our panel open on the right-hand side, and you can change the color. So we can change it to, I don't know, whatever color you like. Trying to get, oh dear, Tony, your computer's really, not only having problems. Come on, panel, there we go. I'll just click on fit. There you go. So now you can change the color, turn the fine adjustment off and find the color you want. Your mask panel. Oh, it's come off now. I'm trying to find why your color, your panel keeps changing. So you can change this color now, Tony, to whatever color you want.
Are you in color grading?
I mean, just in color, yeah, not color. It's in color. All I'm doing is moving the hue slider. But Tony's computer is really acting very, very, very strange. I think it might be the internet, but you can change. What I'm saying is you've isolated that now. You can change the color. But you can see what I mean by these masks. You can do such amazing things with them. And then if you've gone too far, you've got the adjustment slide to back it off. So if you've gone too far, you can back it off, or you can actually overemphasize the color by sliding it all to the right. By using with these masks, you can now paint individually anywhere on that image. And I think what you're going to do is finish it off for next week, change the boat color to whatever color you want. And then we'll finish off a bit of texture. We're going to paint a little bit of light down that stream next week. And we're going to shade the bottom of the image off a little bit so my eye doesn't go off the picture. Then we can consider what we're going to do with the sky. But these icons that Tony's got showing that diamond, if I click on the diamond, it should take me to that mask, which it's doing, look. But Tony's computer's doing something very weird. There you go, it's opened up. So there's the object that Tony's got, and we can turn that up. We said we're going to make that a bit more greener. And we added a bit more yellow to it. And this computer of yours, Tony, is just not working properly, is it? I'm trying to move the sliders, and it might be the internet speed, probably. I'm going back to mask 1, Tony. Is it doing it on your computer, Tony? Is you there? Or is it just the internet?
I'm here. I think one of the problems is that we're both making adjustments.
Well, what I'm trying to do is you've got a mask 1 that you've not named yet, so that's your grass to the right. What I'm saying, if you click on that mask, you should be able to change the sliders on the right. So you can turn that up a little bit more, so you can make it more green. So you turn the saturation right down rather than up. So turn the saturation up a bit to about plus 20. That's it. So it's got a nice style to it. That's it. So you can, ooh, way up too much. Gosh, it is a bit, isn't it? I think it's because the hue's changed a lot. You change the hue quite a bit. 31's a lot for a hue. You're on about 10, no more on a hue of 10. So go to where it says the hue and turn that back to 10 instead of 31. It's a bit too much. Are you going to type it in? Okay.
What did I type?
Now you've done, no, you can't. You've done 1,000. Let me just take control 10. If in doubt, double click on the little pointer. It should go back to the middle. Let me just get rid of OK. Come on, OK. Double click on that pointer. And then just up. Then I'm going to just do 10 tone. Now we'll do fine adjustment. And we're going to just do 10. Wow. Are you doing this or me?
Didn't do that last week.
Right, just slide that over so it's about 10. You've gone, I don't know what's happened there. You've gone with bluegrass. Oh, tell you what you've done. You've gone onto the wrong mask again. You've come off mask 1. That's it. You've come off mask 1. That's what it is. Okay, so change the colour. That's obviously a bit too insipid, that is. You can change that grass to what colour you like. You want to change that and your boat. And next week we're going to do the bottom part. And we're going to paint some gullies in here so we can see the gullies because you can't see them at the moment. We'll paint some gullies to give a 3D. And then we'll change the sky and make it looking really good. And then I'll do your handout for this layers problem we had in Photoshop.